Hi, it's Dr. Keith McAfee. Welcome to Medicine and Faith, where I take a subject of medicine, I teach about that, and then I relate that to our faith. Today, we're going to talk about reflexes, something we all have, and there's a really good lesson involved. Now, reflexes are also sometimes abbreviated DTRs, or deep tendon reflexes. Now, what does that mean? A reflex happens for us, when we test them in clinic with hitting it with a reflex hammer, happens when your body does a reaction to a stimulus, which is that reflex hammer, that you cannot stop, you cannot control. What happens? Here, for instance, is your thigh, and it goes over, down, and here's your calf, here's your kneecap, and then you have the muscles here come together and they go over, and there's this little knob on your shin, your tibia, called the tibial tubercle or tibial tuberosity. And the muscles go over there, and when you hit that with a reflex, it indents it a little bit. It pushes it in, of course, nowhere near that much. But when it pushes it in, it pulls, by definition, if you think about it, if you push in here, it pulls a little bit on your thigh muscles. Just a hair, but it doesn't take much. Now, in the muscle, in the thigh muscle here, you have little sensory fibers. They're called stretch fibers. And they're, simplistically speaking, they're like little springs. Think about literally a little spring. And they stretch and they relax and they stretch and they relax. And they sort of give your body, they give your mind an idea, unconsciously, of how much stretch there is in your thigh at any one time. If I get a reflex hammer and I hit that, bang, for just 1 microsecond, this stretch fiber starts to pull apart. Again, a tad, but it happens very fast because when I hit this, it's an instantaneous hit. And that stretch happens very, very rapidly. So this poor little fiber, they're very small, thinks it's literally being ripped apart. And it sends this emergency 911 message to your spinal cord, because here's your spinal cord with all the nerves coming out. And it sends a 911 message to the spinal cord saying, holy cow, we're about to be ripped apart. You got to pull back or I'm doomed. Okay? And the spinal cord then bounces. It's got a little bouncing thing. It bounces right back to the muscles, and those muscles start to pull back to protect these sensory fibers. And so your muscles pull back. And of course, when your muscle pulls back, that kicks your foot out a little. It makes your foot kick out briefly. Now, this signal is instant. It's bang, it's on, it's off within a millisecond. So this stretch is instantly really bad, 911 message, and then suddenly the thing relaxes and it goes, uh-oh, false alarm, sorry, no problem, you can relax. But it's too late. By that point, the message is gone, it hits, it bounces back, the muscles start to contract, and then instantly, everything happens within milliseconds, instantly the muscles go, okay, false alarm, relax. So you get a little twitch of the muscle because it goes on and off real fast. And it's a total reflex. It goes to the spinal cord. It does not go up to your brain. Any message that would go up to the brain doesn't, because it happens so quickly, it just never gets to that point. So this happens right like that. It never goes through any thinking process. You cannot stop a reflex, unless you pull back beforehand, but of course that defeats the purpose. If I hit you here, that's going to twitch. You can try to stop it until the cows come home. You cannot stop that kind of a reflex. Deep tendon reflex is what we call it, is deep within the muscles. Now, we do that for various diseases to diagnose problems neurologically, usually, sometimes metabolically, but usually neurologically. But that's a test we do. But the point is that the reflex itself is not under your control. You cannot stop that. Now, in our own lives, whether you have faith or don't have faith, actually this applies to everyone, there are many things in our lives that are reflexes. We may like them, we may not like them. I hope most of them you do not like, but they just happen. You see somebody of a different race and you get an instant reflex impression, feeling. You're walking down the street, you hear somebody behind you, you get that instant panic of no matter who is behind you, you just get that instant sense of, oh my gosh. We have these, some of those are good defenses, but what if you turned around and looked and it was somebody of a different race? Some races you're going to react to differently than others. I hate to say it, I detest this in life. It's terrible. But it's a fact of life that we're all growing up in cultures where anywhere in the world where we are conditioned to think about certain people, certain ages, certain genders, certain philosophies, certain beliefs, certain races, colors of your skin, you name it. And we have conditions that are reflexively built into our systems, into our brain, into our personalities, because we've been conditioned, sometimes innocently as children, all of our lives. Most of those reflexes are not good things. Most of them are prejudices. Some of them are just unfair. They can be very judgmental. But to deny you have them, to deny I have them, is to deny reality. Now, are you responsible for the reflexes? Some of them, yes. Many of them, probably no. The question is not, do you have those reflexes, conditions that we react to certain groups and peoples and whatever. The question more is, what are you going to do with them? How do you react to them? Do you listen to them and say, that's just the way I feel, tough luck, I'm going to be prejudiced my whole life? Or do you say, that is not the way God wants our country to be. That is not the way God wants my soul to be. Because when we get to heaven, we're going to see a lot of variety. We better get used to it now. So it's what you do with those conditioned reflexes. Don't deny you have them. That's to deny reality. But what are you going to do with them? God does not want you to have abnormal reflexes. They indicate disease in the body. They indicate disease in your soul. You don't want those reflexes. God has to help us get over them, and probably many of them we won't get over until we get in heaven. But I'm going to fight against them with every ounce of energy I have, because they are not godly reflexes. I don't condemn myself for having them. I condemn the fact that they have to be there, and I wish they weren't. But I'm going to fight against them. So what you do with your reflexes in your life is what counts, not whether you have them. You can't be held accountable for many of those, but fight them. They are not what God wants in our lives or in our world. They have to go one day. Let's get rid of them now. This is Dr. Keith McAfee. Thank you for listening. I look forward to talking to you again soon. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you would like to see other such video logs, please go to my website, KeithMcAfee.com. There you'll also learn about my book, Breathe, A Physician's Stories and Reflections on Prayer, published by Westbow Press, a series of 45 true stories from a medical career, and how that relates to our prayer life. Thank you very much for listening. I look forward to talking to you again soon.